Hello my beautiful YouTube friends. For today's designer DIY adventure, we're going to turn this basic denim jacket into this Louis Vuitton jacket. I'm sure by now you all know that I'm a bit of a Louis Vuitton addict. And although I will say these pieces are real, I do have some that I've created myself to supplement my collection, just because I absolutely adore the print, and honest to God, I'm broke most of the time. I cannot afford Louis Vuitton prices on most things unless they're really old. Like, since my Louis Vuitton Alma, which I actually searched high and low for, was made the same month as my birthday, which was 25 years ago. So this baby I got for about $500, but a brand new one's going to run you significantly more than that. And if you watched my boot video a couple weeks ago, then you know that I've already started dabbling with covering things with Louis Vuitton leather to make them look like actual Louis Vuitton products. So for this project, we're going to need our denim jacket with the hood, some fuzzy fur trim. I got mine off of Amazon. Then we're going to need a stencil. This is actually a cake stencil that I got off of Etsy. And finally, your spray paint, which I just got some regular stuff from Home Depot. Alright guys, so to get started, this is actually really easy. You're just going to take some white paper or cardboard or whatever you have to kind of block out around the area that you want to put the stencil on. I'm using white paper. And then you're just going to lay the stencil down. Try to make sure that the fabric is as flat as possible, and just go ahead and spray over it. So I sprayed it with 2 coats and made sure that I evenly covered the whole stencil. You can kind of press it down in between the parts of the print if your fabric is not super flat to make sure that you're getting the print fully transferred onto your material. So 2 coats does give me this really cool kind of washed out denim look, and I really like how it's coming out. Once you finish that spot, then you can go ahead and move on to the next spot. I tried to line up my white paper to cover exactly where the previous stencil was, so that way it kind of looks like it's a fluid print going across the material, even though we're doing it in small sections. Also, this stuff will take a little while to dry, so be very careful that you're not going to smudge it when you're moving the white papers. Just rest them down gently. Here's a little close-up of actual speed of me doing one with the sleeves. I'm sorry the camera is so shaky. I didn't have an easy way to kind of prop it up or use the tripod to get a good angle on this, so I'm sort of holding it in my hand as I go. So I was kind of going for this washed out printed denim look on mine, so it is a little bit lighter than the example jacket that I'm kind of comparing it to. So if you want to make yours more defined with the white on top of the denim, then I would recommend doing a few more coats of this, but do make sure that you're going to let it dry a little bit in between these coats, otherwise the paint will just kind of smudge through the denim material. So it will take you a lot longer if you want the patterning to come out darker, because you're going to have to do a spot and then wait a few minutes and then do that same spot again without moving the stencil. So you can kind of see here where this one spot is at the bottom that I didn't quite line up my stencils properly. So I am going to go back in and kind of cover up where the existing stencils are and just fill in that gap so it looks more like it's a fluid pattern running across. So I started with the back and then went up to the hood and then did the front sides and finished off by doing the sleeves last. But as you can see, I have the entire jacket covered in the print now, and I think it's coming out really nicely. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this dry overnight. So now that the whole jacket has been painted, we're going to go ahead and attach the trim onto it that looks like this. This trim has like this little rim piece that you use to attach with, so we're going to sew that on the inside edge, running all the way up both sides and around the hood. I would recommend using a thin and very sharp needle for this because going through the denim is kind of difficult and you do have to apply a decent amount of pressure for it. However, we are going to sew right along this edge here and just go through the denim like that, back through to the back side, and then loop through the fur trim, that little ribbon edge you see right here. And then just keep doing that all the way up the side so that way the fur trim just kind of pokes out of the edge. You also want to be very careful when you're doing this to kind of pull the fur out of the way, because otherwise when you're pulling the needle through you can actually pull some of the fur through your stitches and then it's just going to look kind of weird and not nicely finished on either side of it. For the record, this fur was highly frustrating for me to work with, so just try to be as patient as you can to try to keep the fur from getting into your stitches. So here's kind of a close-up. I'm putting that lining edge right up to the edge of the jacket and then just going back and forth across like this, again making sure that I'm not getting any of the fur pulled through my stitches. So here's kind of what it's going to look like when you're done. As you can see, there's kind of just this fluffy fur edge all the way around and really small stitches that you can't really notice on the edge holding the fur on. It will kind of puff over the stitches anyway, so you don't have to worry about them being super nice and neat and even, because the fur will kind of fluff over the edge. Alright, so here it is about halfway done. So as you can see, there's my trim hanging off the edge, and then I've gone all the way around the hood and down the one side. It's definitely pretty time consuming to attach this fur trim. I think it took me probably around 4.5 hours to get the trim all the way around the jacket, mostly just because that fur was so frustrating and every time I did a stitch I had to kind of brush the fur back out of the way. But in the end, I think it's totally worth it. Also, little side note that I didn't mention earlier, if you have a jacket with a zipper, don't put fur around the edges down here because obviously the fur will catch in your zipper and then your jacket won't be functional. So I'm only putting fur all the way down the sides of the jacket because this one is closed by buttons. So here's kind of a close-up, at least an attempt of a close-up of showing how I kind of went from where the jacket meets the hood. I did just kind of loop the fur around this little notch here. It's not like a true 90-degree turn, but kind of, slowly curves around the edge so that way we still have one continuous line of fur going all the way around. So if you are trying to replicate this process and your jacket also has like a division between the jacket part and the hood, or it has a collar or something like that, just try your best to go around the curve. I really like how the print came out. It's such like a light wash, that it's not like in your face I'm wearing branded looking products, but it's super subtle, but if you know what it is, you know what it is. So I'm excited. So, oh my gosh, here is the finished jacket. I think it honestly turned out better than I was kind of expecting it to. I was a little fearful of the whole spray painting on denim thing, but as you can see, it actually turned out pretty well. It's not perfect, but I'm totally content with how the patterning came out on this jacket. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I normally don't wear things with hoods, but I freaking love this one. I think it was so fun, and let me tell you, these photos were probably some of my favorite to take just because I felt like a cute little winter bunny, even though I was standing in my 75-degree basement. I should really just make this whole series and just call it crafting, but make it fashion. So, my nails have been destroyed by paint, my fingertips have been poked with needles, and I'm still cleaning fuzz out of my nose 2 days later, but I'm actually really glad that I did this project. I think it is so cute and will go so great with my fall and winter wardrobe. Is it perfect? No. But is it good enough for me spending a few hours on it? I think so. What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. I have a lot of fun things planned for October and you don't want to miss them. So please don't forget to subscribe and hit that little notification button. If you try out this project or come up with your own ideas inspired off of this, I would love to see what you do, so send me a message on Instagram. Or if you have any other suggestions or ideas you'd like me to try out, don't forget to comment below. I love hearing your guys' thoughts. So until next time, I hope your day is as beautiful as yours.